welcome to Forgotten Liberty Radio, the voice of liberty in the Central Valley. I'm Matthew, joined as always by the lovely team here, Pat.
Hi, Matthew and John and Aaron.
John's quiet.
And John.
John's quiet.
John.
That means it's going to be a long episode.
Well, if you would have recorded this at the beginning. Hey, everybody.
Alrighty.
And Aaron.
Well, let's get started with today's episode.
No, I'm serious.
Okay. You gotta get closer. You gotta get closer to your mic so we can actually hear this.
So what were you saying?
I was saying, even Mark's case, right? The 9th District has already overturned the Hawaii's law on open carry, meaning you should be able to open carry a loaded firearm in public in California. The 9th District has overturned that part in Hawaii, which means it is applicable to California as well, potentially the whole United States, right?
Supposed to be.
So, by that same standard, you should be able to open carry in California without repercussion.
Yeah, and what's the point? So, what were you bringing up before? Someone's case. Whose case?
Mark's case.
And what have I said the whole time about everything those guys adjudicate?
There's no point to the case. They're spending money on a case that is already won.
They're wasting their time.
So we should just be able to go open carry.
Everywhere
where it's legal to carry, should be able to open carry.
Everyone can understand by the tone of my voice, I'm very calm right now. Those men waste more money asking for permission to do something that's already their right.
Yep.
We just got done here with a private conversation about licensed hunters and fishermen being able to concealed carry a loaded firearm under the California Penal Code.
Without a CCW.
Two things.
Yeah. So with all the research that Mr. Baird has done, or Mr. Raposa, or whoever else has done, or his attorney, or the Secretary of State, or the Attorney General, I'm not singling out Mark Baird or Mr. Raposa, all the individuals that I've named, every law enforcement officer in this state, with all the research that all these people have done, attorneys included, they don't know what I know. Carry a damn fishing pole with you, some rubber worms. You don't have to be licensed. Article 1, Section 25 of the California State Constitution says you have the right to fish. So a licensed hunter or a fisherman, though that's the verbiage in the penal code, allows you to carry a concealed weapon without a concealed weapons permit while engaged in hunting or fishing activities.
Did you have the specific section for that penal code?
He's 20.
We'll get that in the show notes, so we have that.
Here's the thing, though.
But
even the officers don't know this. Even the men going to court insisting they have a right to carry a weapon, open carry, don't know they have the right to fish without a license and the right to carry concealed under the California Penal Code to or from hunting or fishing activities. And it specifically says when in the vehicle it has to be unloaded. It doesn't say that it has to not be concealed. It doesn't say that it has to be locked up.
Unloaded.
It simply has to be unloaded.
Okay, when you're carrying it while you're fishing, it can be loaded.
Right.
Okay.
It can be lock-loaded and ready to go. No safety, no nothing. But you see, people are going to say, John don't know what he's talking about.
Go read it.
You know, John's just slamming these men again. John's not slamming just these men. John's slamming the judges, the cops, the sheriffs, the deputies, the patrolmen, the attorneys, every member of our legislature and Senate, every governor we've ever had. This is our law. It says we have the right to do these things.
So to be clear, for those who keep on saying we're personally attacking people,
I'm not
It's across the
attacking
board.
nobody.
It's for everything, everybody.
If you're messing
It's
with
not-
us,
we're not doing
if you're
that at all.
messing with us, you're messing with
Right.
us.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I say us, I say all Californians, all Americans.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you're asking permission to do something that you have a right to do, but you're just have a mental deficit when it comes to doing the actual research and finding the actual places where it says you can do these things, just because you're on your way to work doesn't mean you're not engaged in hunting or fishing activities.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay?
Right.
I may be driving a semi-truck, but if I have the intention to stop and fish on my way to or from where I'm going, I'm engaged in fishing activities.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's law enforcement's job to determine otherwise.
Yep.
Right.
But it's
Because
also
you're
their
still-
job to trust what I tell them,
Okay.
to not assume anything,
Don't assume anything.
right?
Well, because that's the standard in our country, right? That's the way that it should be.
Well, I'm
That-
not saying not to speak to an officer, okay?
Right. No, I'm not saying that either.
If you're packing heat and you're doing it legally, it's unloaded in your vehicle. I mean, and you have a fishing pole. It's
So
not for that
basically-
officer to determine whether or
So-
not you're telling the truth when you say, I'm going to stop on my way to or from my destination and fish.
Right.
Yeah, that was my point. I'm saying the standard across the board is you're innocent until proven guilty. There's no reason for them to, short of you doing something else illicit or not, or proving otherwise that you aren't going to go fish, right? Then that trust should automatically be there.
Right.
Just like if you say, I don't have any drugs, officer, there's no reason for them to search your truck unless they maybe have a canine unit there that picks it up, right? And that's outside evidence to the contrary that you lied to the officer.
Okay, first of all, why are they even bringing a canine dog there?
Yeah.
I
It's-
mean, they
it's
have other
hypothetical. It's
probable
hypothetical.
cause
That's what
to
I'm
believe
You're
that
talking-
you
you're
have drugs in
Yeah.
the vehicle.
It was
Well, that's
hypothetical. I'm saying the point is just that there should be more of an implicit trust there.
So basically,
them
I
to
can
be-
see people carrying their fishing pole around with
Right.
them, basically they could carry a loaded firearm.
Unloaded.
Well,
Unloaded because they're
not
transporting it to
fishing.
and from.
Well, I'm thinking you've got your fishing pole and you're walking to the walking a mile to the river,
Right.
and you have your loaded firearm, and that would be legal. Is that right? That's how I'm seeing it.
What does the specific wording say in the penal code?
I'm looking for it.
Okay.
We'll make sure these links are in the show notes as well, so you can read them for yourself.
That's it. It's very interesting that so many people don't know this. Why wouldn't people know this? Shouldn't they know this? Or why don't people know this?
Well, I don't know. Can we link this YouTube thing in?
Yeah, here. Let's do this. All right, there we go. Now we can record.
My first time interacting with law enforcement while carrying a firearm in California was on some BLM land in Lake County. My friend and I were just getting back to the parking area from a hiking trail when we noticed that all the cars were gone, except for ours and 2 sheriff vehicles. I noticed one of the deputies talking to the other through the car window, and so as we approached them to pass, I asked if we had missed something, and the deputy said, "Oh yeah, you guys missed the party. There was a bit of a scuffle, and now we're evacuating the area." I said, "Oh, well, just so you know, officer, there's a firearm on my right hip here. I don't want you to get the wrong idea or anything." He said, "Okay, thanks." And so we continued over to our car, where I quickly locked up my firearm and we started packing. But as we were getting ready to leave, the 2 deputies came over and we chatted for like 15-20 minutes about firearm rights and BLM land. And then the deputy said this to me. He said, you know, you can actually carry a gun anytime you're fishing in California. I said, what? I told him I didn't believe him, and he laughed and just told me to check it out when I got home, and so I did, and sure enough. California Penal Code, Section 25400. It says here that a person is guilty of carrying a concealed firearm when the person does any of the following. 1. Carries concealed within any vehicle that is under the person's control or direction any pistol, revolver, or other firearm capable of being concealed upon the person. 2. Carries concealed upon the person any pistol, revolver, or other firearm capable of being concealed upon the person. 3. Causes to be carried concealed within any vehicle in which the person is an occupant any pistol, revolver, or other firearm capable of being concealed upon the person. It goes on to discuss the different punishments for violating this penal code. But the important section is here, Section 25640. Penal Code 25640 states that Section 25400 does not apply to or affect licensed hunters or fishermen carrying pistols, revolvers, or other firearms capable of being concealed upon the person while engaged in hunting or fishing, or transporting those firearms unloaded when going to or returning from the hunting or fishing expedition. That's an important note. It's got to be unloaded when you're on your way there or on your way back. So that's right. As long as you're a licensed fisherman engaged in or on your way to engage in fishing, you can actually carry a concealed firearm without a permit. Now, you still have to be mindful of some state and local properties that have signs posted prohibiting firearms. You still have to listen to those. Also, know that if for some reason you do have a run-in with law enforcement, not all of them are going to be familiar with this penal code. I went to a sheriff's town hall here in Sonoma County and mentioned this to Sheriff Mark Essick, and while he was aware of this penal code, the majority of his deputies were not. So if you do this, it might not be a bad idea to carry a physical copy of the penal code with you. Now, I haven't been able to find a single video about this anywhere, and the only news article I could find is from 2010 by the LA Times, and even they were confusing open carry with the concealed carry this law permits. So I've been really excited to share this with you guys. Be safe out there. I'll catch you next time.
Well, and that comes from Biosauce on YouTube.
We'll have a link to that as well.
It's his video.
Very interesting.
We got to give him credit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll get that link from you, John, and it'll be in the show notes for you, our listener, to listen to.
Watch.
But it's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
But nowhere, since any of this talk about, Mr. Baird's lawsuit has come up, has anyone even discussed this?
Yeah.
Right? They don't even discuss it. They're just looking for, hey, it's our right to do this, or how do we protect ourselves, or how do I waste a bunch of damn money while I'm asking you to give it to me? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's always been my hang up with the issues. Mm-hmm. Is it costs so much money to ask permission to do something that throw a fishing pole in your car.
Yeah.
Or your pickup.
Basically.
You're on your way to or from. Have some bait. Because Article 1, Section 25 of our Constitution gives you the right to fish. You do not need a fishing license.
So he was talking about different areas that don't allow guns. Does that mean where it's posted? Is that what that means?
You can't carry your weapon into the state capitol and claim that you're on your way to fish.
Well, no, that's not what I meant. I meant like, you go to you go to a campground, they say, no hunting or no hunting on this property. So,
well, if it's posted, no. If
it's posted, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, then we have to say, okay, if you're engaged in hunting activity on a no hunting or fishing,
you're breaking
property,
more than that law, right?
You're violating the ordinance of that area,
right?
Now we have to take into consideration Article 1, Section 25. and that says even if the state sells the property, they have to allow the people in perpetuity the right to fish on that property.
Right.
So even if it's a state park and it says no hunting or fishing or no firearms, and you're there to fish, well, they can't regulate the firearm out because the penal code gives you the right to carry that while you're fishing. Right? So it's a violation.
Makes sense to me.
It's not only a violation of your right to fish at that point. It's a violation. It's at least an entrapment of that penal code.
Right.
Okay, because you're legally doing something that you're constitutionally authorized to do, and you're carrying your weapon in accordance to the penal code at that point. So if they say you can't fish or hunt, so that now you're in that position and it says no firearms at that same state park, well, they can't do that. They can, but then that's something that absolutely needs to be adjudicated.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest with you, nobody's bringing these things up.
Nope.
I
haven't heard it.
And as far as this, we got lawyers out of New York working for Mr. Baird that probably don't know this either.
Well, I want to be clear. We tried to talk to him about this, right, Aaron? On numerous times because we wanted to know some of this information and figure out why this wasn't being talked about. So it's not like we haven't tried to get in touch either. So got to share it, right?
You would think they'd want to know that.
Then you have to question motives.
Oh, there you go. I can't.
Right?
I don't know what is in
well,
anybody's
you can speculate.
mind.
You don't want to get too far into speculation, right. But I don't know. This has got to be for the common good, right? And if it's not, then what ulterior motives are there?
Ulterior motive? There's a pissing match between this group and Kimberly Mueller.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And the federal government's derelict in their responsibility for even assigning any case that Mr. Baird's involved in with Kimberly Mueller. He shouldn't have to talk to that woman one more day of his life.
Yeah.
About no issue. There's a conflict right there on the federal government's part. He's not talking about that. Nobody's discussing that.
Mm-hmm.
He's never even publicly said, why am I before Kimberly Mueller?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just watched this video on YouTube. What was the name of that video you sent me, Aaron? Eternal Vigilance or something? He talks about everything under the sun, about a death threat and this and that, but he doesn't say, why am I even before this judge? There's a conflict of interest because she was the judge on this other CFR lawsuit I'm involved in.
That's Mark that I was talking about? This is Mark's video?
Yeah.
Okay. Hesitate
Aaron
to
can send you the link to it so you can watch it, but
watch it.
The bottom line is, that's a legitimate conflict of interest as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not involved in either case.
On Mueller. On Mueller, you mean? The federal court?
Hey, even the clerks assigning that case know that Mr. Baird is a named plaintiff in the CFR v. Padilla lawsuit.
Right.
So as a named party to that case, why do you assign his Second Amendment case to the same judge?
Excellent question.
Yeah.
Back the train up. First of all, that clerk needs to be fired, whoever assigned that to her. Second of all, whoever approved it needs to be fired. Look, these judges serve in times of good behavior.
Right.
And I'm not saying it, and they are impeachable. Okay? But our Congress, too busy worried about what they can get Donald Trump on, and not busy enough worrying about what they can do to make our lives better and to make our system function as it's intended.
Yeah.
Because of all judges, I believe Miss Mueller is functioning in bad behavior.
Mm.
Okay? That's beside the point. Everyone in that district court that assigned this 2A case to Kimberly Mueller is behaving poorly. Okay? There's moral and ethical questions in my mind.
They're above the law, though.
There has to be in other people's mind, but our representatives aren't. But you don't hear Josh Harder saying we need to look into this situation.
Mm-mm.
Huh? You don't hear the representative from that district saying from Mark Baird's district saying we need to look into this. We need to impeach these people.
It's not one of their issues.
You don't hear Mark Baird insisting that his United States congressperson look into this.
Yeah.
You know why?
Huh.
Because while he is a spokesman that many people follow, he don't know what the hell he's doing. And he don't know what to ask for, and he don't know how to do it. He's a rebel rouser. He will rile up anybody, and he does a damn good job at it. But he ain't doing a very good job at protecting his own interest. And I'm not slamming the man, but I hope he takes into account the things that I say. He should be asking his United States congressman to investigate the United States District Court because everyone in there is behaving badly.
Yes.
They are not acting as if they are functioning under that good behavior clause. Now the Senate appoints them. Or the president appoints them, the Senate approves them, but the House of Representatives has an obligation to try these judges that are not behaving adequately.
That has not been brought up for a long. I have never heard that been brought up about the misbehavior of a judge. I've never ever heard of any of that in my life.
And submit them for a vote on the House floor.
Yeah, so
for impeachment.
Exactly.
And
so
if
why?
articles of impeachment can be drawn, then to submit that article of impeachment to the Senate for discipline, for removal from office. No different than a president.
Does that need to be? Does that have to be done by? Who does that have to start with? When you deal with
number one,
I'm changing the subject, but I
can't even talk to Harder about it because the guy blows me off.
No,
you know.
So it starts with your congressman.
Your congressman is your representative to the federal government.
Okay.
If Kimberly Mueller is behaving badly, if the clerks in that district court are behaving badly, which I've just shown they are.
Exactly.
Okay. Which now I'm going to bring his name up again. Mark Baird has not insisted that they behave adequately. He's asking them to. But has he publicly said, I'm asking my United States House of Representatives member, my United States Congress member,
that's a really
to look
good
into
question,
this?
John. That is
because it's an
really
issue.
It is, and
it's an issue. And these types of things that I bring up are the reason that the state of Jefferson don't want nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's one of them. It's one of the reasons that all these men and women in this movement shun me, because I bring these things up.
Right.
It's our responsibility to do these things. And I'm telling you right now, I'm the guy that would take that to my congressman or woman, but my congressman, Josh Harder, don't listen to what I say.
So maybe that's the case with Mark
because
Baird
he's uneducated.
Well,
but Mr. Baird, you need to contact your congressperson, your U.S. House of Representatives member, and insist that there is some bad behavior going on here.
I just
there's
can't
no
believe
reason
that
that he's back before that same judge.
I wonder if that's
and if it's not, and if Mueller's behaving adequately, that's fine. But I'll tell you, she's not. This is not times of good behavior, because if she was behaving properly, she would have recused herself.
Exactly. From that case, exactly.
From the Second Amendment case.
Right.
For all the issues I have with for all the issues I have with Mr. Baird, he's being screwed right here.
Yeah,
he's being played with. He knows he's being played with. Mm-hmm. Okay? For all the faults he has that I point out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He should know that he should have already approached his United States congressperson.
Well, I can't. I have to think that they have.
But that's not a path that the Jefferson folks ever followed. We've talked about this both in private conversation. I think we've said it on the show as well. Mm-hmm. I've always been for you don't continue to break your contact with your legislator. Right? I know Josh has blown you off, but I'm sure you're still talking. You still try to talk to him. I still
comment on
right?
Facebook. I still go to his open office times, or his, I'm not so much going to the town halls anymore because I'm just going to stand there and raise my hand and they're not going to call on me. And the people there, they're just going to boo and hoo and woo 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 because all they want to do is get their pet project dealt with. Okay? Right.
And you'll be told to shut up.
No, you just won't even be called on.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Charles Dossett on this program, and he told us exactly how those people did him at the first town hall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't mind going to those things if it's conducive of educating others. And all the talking I do here, even on this show, is strictly to educate others.
That's right. That's why we're here, yeah.
I'm not intent on bashing anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But even when the most admired people make a mistake, I'm going to call them on it.
As it should be.
Well, and whether you love someone unconditionally and they're your Messiah. If they're not acting right, they're not acting right.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, as a United States citizen, it pains me to see these judges doing Mr. Baird like this, because if they would do him like that, they'd do all of us like that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is he so wrapped up in his own business and his own ego that he's not thinking of these things? And while he may not want me talking about him, maybe it sheds light on something that he could do to help himself.
That's what I hope for.
My congressman is not going to listen to me. Maybe his will listen to him.
Yeah.
And I have a good feeling that Mr. Raposa is represented by the same congressperson.
That would make sense.
So.
I think so.
I have a feeling that a large number of Northern California is represented by the same person. Yeah. Now, if they had every Jefferson supporter calling and insisting that Kimberly Mueller is acting poorly, is behaving badly, and that district court is behaving badly, their representative might be more receptive than mine.
Yep.
I would love to see that happen. And
I'm going to tell you right now, Colonel Bob Elliott ain't talking about this as a candidate in District 10. Marla Silver or Sousa Livengood ain't talking about this. Josh Harder ain't talking about this. Ted House ain't talking about this.
None of them are.
What are they talking about? We need dams. We need this. We need that. We need all these other extra constitutional things that the federal government's not even supposed to do. But nobody's talking about the piss poor job our courts are doing.
Mm-hmm.
These candidates aren't even educating our citizenry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We got this damn PACT Act in front of us. Ted House supports it. Josh Harder supports it. You know what it is? It says you can't make a crushing video of an animal.
It's a feel-good thing.
That's all it is.
That's it.
And it's a state issue. It's not even a federal issue. Okay? And they're all, well, the Senate passed this in 2015, 2010, 2000 this, 2000 whatever. But you people ain't even supposed to take it up, and we got our candidates all praising that it's passed the House, and our current representative praising that it's passed the House. It's got nothing to do with that. What they need to be doing is they need to be doing impeachment hearings on judges behaving badly.
Right.
Yep.
And I didn't.
That sounds like a great TV series, don't you think?
Well, look, and I didn't mean to go from, hey, you can pack heat and you can fish and you can do all these things and these are your rights and this is the law in California, to Mr. Baird's being screwed and Mr. Baird needs to do this or Mr. Baird needs to do that. I'm not his attorney. I'm not a paid spokesperson for him. I'm certainly not making any money off of my recommendations.
You just want, yeah.
I want what's right to happen.
There you go.
I want what we're entitled to actually happen. And our representatives aren't doing it. Our state representatives aren't doing it. Our state courts aren't doing it. Our state legislature's not doing it. Our federal courts, federal legislatures are not doing it. Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to piss a lot of people off right now, but Donald Trump ain't doing it.
Nope.
I'm not a Trump hater and I'm not a Trump Jesus.
Right.
But Donald Trump, of all people, if he were saying the things I'm saying,
yeah,
could probably get some traction out of Congress.
Could.
John can't. I can't do it by myself.
No. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say it's a perfect opportunity to work together and we can remove this if we need to. Mark, you have our phone numbers. You have this show's phone number. I'm sure you have at least 2 to 3 of the people contact information who are on this show. Get in touch with us. Talk to us. We've tried to talk to you. We know you or somebody listens to the show, so talk to us about it.
Well, somebody does, but they don't talk about these things on their program.
No.
Yep.
No, they don't.
All they do is make fun of me. All they do is BS about what I've said.
Mm-hmm.
Which is ridiculous. Because as I've said, and I've said this in numerous, talk about the content. Don't make fun of the way that people talk, the way that people record videos, etc., etc. Actually talk about and address the content. And if we could have an honest intellectual debate about ideas, talk about ideas, it'd be much better.
I'm not even talking about ideas. I'm straight up telling the man he's getting hosed, and he ain't standing up for himself.
Yep.
But you know what I get when I critique them? I get, why would you want to shoot another conservative in the foot? Well, I don't see a conservative. I certainly don't see a constitutionalist. I certainly don't see someone who's out for their best interest. Mm-hmm. I see someone who's motivated to further a cause,
which is a good cause.
Well, I'm not saying that state splits aren't a good thing. What I have said is the way it's going about is not the way to do it. Right?
Exactly. That's what you're saying. And I think we all agree with that. And we all agree with that.
And I never tried to shoot nobody in the foot. And this recording should be evidenced of, hey, I want nothing but the best for the guy, because if he stands up for what he's entitled to, it helps us all.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he's standing up ain't the way to do it. You don't ask for permission to do something that you have the right to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now he thinks that asking permission is the right way to do it. But look, I've proven tonight that even the clerks in that court are hell-bent on screwing the man. Mm-hmm. He's pissed off so many people, he just needs to stop asking.
Yep.
What would you do? What
do you see me filing lawsuits asking for permission?
No, that's not what I meant. No, and I know you wouldn't, because you know that it's already your right, your constitutional right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you think would be the next step for someone who is in that position to get the congressman?
Get on a stick with your congressman.
There you go.
Convince your congressman.
Convince it.
Your congressman needs to convince other congressmen and women.
Yeah.
I know that they just elected someone up there, but I'm trying to figure. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, but
Dolly.
that was.
That's it. It's Dolly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right,
that's
Dolly.
all state stuff.
Yeah, it's state stuff. It's not
That's
their
all
federal
state
representative.
senate, state assembly.
Okay, that was state.
Yeah.
Right. Regardless.
Right.
Regardless, we
Regardless
have
who it
have
is.
a U.S.
Exactly.
district court out of control, behaving very poorly,
Yes.
and the people that it's affecting aren't publicly talking about this. Eternal vigilance? Eternal vigilance, my backside. You can be vigilant all day long if your vigilance is motivated towards the wrong spur of the track. It's never going to get to its destination.
No, I don't. I think you're right.
I'm sitting here saying it does me no good to bring these things up to my representative because my representative is Nancy's water boy and don't care.
That's right. Yeah. I wonder if we will elect one who will listen.
I'll be quite honest. You do a lot of work for Mr. House, and he don't give a crap either. Mr. House knows how to get a hold of me.
Mm-hmm.
People that work with Mr. House. Hey, I got two friends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you know the other one.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Hughes.
Okay.
We converse on Facebook and such.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know he's involved with Mr. House heavily.
John, I don't read those things. I can't.
No, but I mean that you see that individual at the functions.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Mr. House knows how to get a hold of me, or knows people who know how to get a hold of me, and is ignoring the things I bring up on this program. Much like Josh Harder, Mr. House is ignoring me. And you know what? That's fine. Ignore me all you want, because the people of this district are milquetoast.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Okay, they've been milquetoast since Gary Conant started messing around with that little Levy girl.
Yep.
Okay? They'd have let Gary Condon again. I tell you that right now.
No, I know they would have. You're right. Especially,
no, they will today.
Oh, they would do it today. Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. And
I don't mean no ill will towards Gary Condon. Whatever he did extramarital, he did extramarital. Hey, men have needs, you know. And that's between a man and a wife, and whatever Bill and Hillary were okay with, they were okay with. That has nothing to do with me.
Right.
That's your bedroom stuff, okay? Politics is different.
Yeah.
But all you got to do is go to one of Josh Harder's town halls to know that these constituents don't know jack.
They don't. And I have to say that probably I would have to say 98% of the constituents within the United States are the same way. I'll just because I think that's one of the reasons why the popularity of Trump. I mean, it's a populist thing. We think he's, we think he's doing the great things. It's a popular thing. He's popular.
But is Trump saying, "Hey, this court's out of line. This court's out of line"?
Well,
even some of the judges that Trump has appointed are out of line.
What I was gonna say. Yeah?
Yeah. This whole deal we were talking about the evidence that disappeared down in Fresno. Okay? You had a Bush, you had a Clinton, and you had a Trump attorney on the 3-judge panel, or a Trump judge.
Mm-hmm.
So and those 3 judges determined what down there, that the officers had no responsibility for the theft of an acquitted person's property.
Yeah.
Well, it's a 3-judge panel, so 2 of the 3 of them, and one was a Bush, one was a Clinton, and one was a Trump appointee. Now the Senate approved all 3 of those.
Right, exactly.
Okay. But still, you had a Bush and a Trump. You had 2 Republican appointed judges and 1 Democrat appointed judge. We don't know which way the 2 out of 3 went.
How it went. So it was a 2 to 1?
I don't know what it was, but there were 3.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of them behaved badly because, these officers, it's okay that they took $150,000 of these people's property. It's okay that it never made it to evidence, right?
Well, I don't think so.
I mean, these are cases that are in the news. I mean, these are things that are out there for anybody to see. And
how does it happen? Yeah.
How does the White House not know that case was adjudicated that way? And how does the president not say we need to start dealing with our courts?
Courts would be the best place to start.
Because our president don't even know how things are supposed to be. You don't hear him saying these things are going on, and the House, instead of investigating me, needs to be investigating these judges.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. Well,
because regardless if you love Trump, you hate Trump, or you're indifferent about Trump.
Mm-hmm.
When the office of the president speaks, people listen and make a determination one way or another. And when you point out I believe when the president points out specifics, like this case, that case, the other case. In this case, these judges were derelict in their duty. They didn't use their moral compass to guide them, and they made decisions based on their own personal feeling and not what the rule of law is. Right? They decided because there's been no precedent set that there's no way to decide this. That it's okay for the officers to pocket property because they had a warrant when they collected the property. Now, if the president was bringing the country's attention to this situation, that the American people would jump on this and make their representatives investigate it.
Yeah. Perhaps it needs to be brought to his attention. Maybe he got a lot on his plate right now. I don't know.
Someone knows.
Someone knows.
Someone does. And it's an important issue.
But let's put it like this.
Oh, it's definitely an important issue. I'm not
it's an important issue to us, to the 4 of us, but it's not an important issue to them.
It doesn't.
It's not an important issue to Congress. It's not an important issue to the president. Josh Harder just wants to talk about how Betsy DeVos does this and how, Burr does that and how the other does this. Mm-hmm. And they need to be, they want to impeach everyone and they want to get rid of everyone. Huh? They want to get rid of Trump. Then they want to get rid of Pence. Then they're going to put Nancy in place because that's how stupid they are.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how
the
that
man
goes,
Josh Harder ain't even been in office 2 years, and I can tell you there's conduct from him where he's violating the United States Constitution on a daily basis, violating the 10th Amendment. Because of his involvement in some of these laws as a co-sponsor that have no federal enumerated power.
Mm-hmm. They're state issues.
Right. So where do we go on that?
Well, if he's not going to listen, there's no way.
But we got to get rid of this person. We got to get rid of that person. But what they really need to be doing is their job and being the check on the judiciary. In this case, where it's affecting our district in the federal courts, we already know the Ninth Circus. Everybody talks about the Ninth Circuit.
They do.
They call it the Ninth Circus.
Exactly.
Whether it's the Ninth District Court the Ninth Circuit.
So one of the questions that we're looking at, a new judge I just saw that they're trying to get appointed to the Ninth Circuit, and the man was asked about the LGBT, that he got bad reports from the ABA, the American Law
Bar Association.
Bar Association, yeah, ABA.
Yeah, big whoop.
And so they asked him. They said he wasn't going to. Would he treat the LGBT people with TQ, whatever that is? Please forgive me if I offend anyone.
LBGTQ,
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Whatever.
We got to be careful. We don't want to offend anyone. But he's
offend
because
no one.
I know
that's a subclassification that's already segregated themselves from the common.
Okay, we're going to get into a different issue if we go there. If we go that way, we're going to get into a different issue. Different show. But the guy breaks down because he got this bad review and that he was going to mistreat that class or that group of people. He's not going to do that. I don't believe that he would do that. Number one, I don't know. I don't know the guy. But the thing is, here we go again. A certain group that's going to have to be treated with kid gloves because and that just makes me crazy. Everyone should be treated the same way, and that's exactly how he answered the question. I'll treat everybody the same way because everyone is God's creature and was created by God. Where was I going with this issue?
Talking about judges.
We're talking about judges. Well, we're trying to get some good judges, is what I'm trying to get at. So I do think we're making some good steps in that
even
way.
In these situations where they're in their confirmation hearings.
Yeah.
Okay. They're doing all these things in committee. There don't need to be no committee review. All this is just a waste of time. It's showboating.
Okay, there you go.
It's political.
I'll go along with that.
Political strategery
to let the population think they're doing something.
They interview these judges 19 times before they get to the floor of the Senate. Mm-hmm. And then they still get to all ask their questions again before they approve or disapprove the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So what are we doing? We're breaking these people down. And we're doing it by people who don't even understand what their responsibilities are. Right. Their responsibilities are to adjudicate the rule of law in the eyes of the Constitution as a federal judge. Okay? What's this person's right? What's the law they're accused of violating? Did that law violate their right to begin with?
That should be all that needs to be asked.
Did their violation of that law cause anyone else's right to be violated? But we're going to ask them how you feel about some individual group's sexuality.
So how do you feel about that? No, how would you treat that group?
Right. Based on their sexuality.
I guess.
Because sexuality is so important. Okay?
Yeah, well.
No different than race was to Adolf Hitler.
Right. That's.
And any senator that asks about sexuality or inclusivity in this group or that group and doesn't phrase their questionology as...
Is that a word?
I don't know. This is my word.
I like your word. Questionology.
Well, that doesn't phrase their questions to apply to all individuals is a segregationist, and they don't need to be in office.
Okay.
Because if you're sitting there as a United States Senator in committee asking a judge, how would you treat a member of the LGBTQZ community? You've already segregated them.
Yeah. That's true. It's
and you're going to blame these men and women that are being interviewed for judges on the littlest misstep in their answering of that question. Well, if you were asking questions of me, that's exactly how they would be treated. You've already segregated them. You've already made them different from all of us.
That would be a really good comeback. That would have been good.
But you know what? These judges have been...
It's a train.
And these attorneys and all this, they don't even know.
Right.
Everybody's been so conditioned to be polite and be politically correct and this and that.
That's it. Well, it just goes back to the population that you were talking about.
You're going to segregate that group out?
We're all conditioned.
Like they're less important.
We're all conditioned, yeah.
They got the same right to carry a fishing pole and a loaded weapon with them.
Right. Yes, they do. A firearm.
I caught it.
You got to keep this. We're gonna keep that explicit tag off our podcast, John.
I caught it.
He did. He was going to say firearm.
That's what it was.
Yes.
That's totally what it was.
That's what.
It's a fugazi right there.
Yeah.
You know what a fugazi is? That's when somebody's pulling your leg.
I didn't know that.
It's a phony. It's a fake.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
I'm teasing. I did know.
Well,
some things I know. That this has been a podcast that we did not expect to happen.
We had a whole topic list planned. Aaron did all this work.
This happens a lot to Aaron. He does a really good job of show prep, and guess what happens? Poor Aaron.
You want to play your violin over there?
Pity the little Aaron over there.
Well, hopefully next week we'll get to
the PACT do that. The PACT Act's a joke.
You know, actually, what basically it is. It is a joke, and it's just a feel-good piece of legislation that makes everybody say, "Oh, look, he's for that." When actually it isn't a constitutional deal.
That every candidate and in our district,
and we're conditioned to say, "Ah,"
it is all for that, and it's not even a federal issue.
It's not a federal issue.
Topic covered.
Right
there, we go. We covered the topic.
That's how we do it.
Aaron, do you feel better now? Okay, good. Yeah, you do have a smile on your face. I like that.
Well, what's it say? It says you can't make a crushing video intentionally. Okay, so what if you unintentionally make a crushing video? Now, who determines whether you?
Well, just don't. Then you can't put it on.
But
Facebook.
You can't distribute. You can't do that for the purposes of distributing. You know, nationwide or even globally.
Right, even if it's not. But, you know, what we're saying, I love animals. We all are animal lovers. We would never, ever do that. Just want to put that out there.
Our District 10 candidate, Ted House, he's a veterinarian. He loves animals too, but yeah. I got to tell you,
it's not an issue that should be.
He supported this thing, and my point to him was on his official candidates page. This has nothing to do with federally enumerated responsibilities, and we shouldn't even be discussing it in this forum.
Well, it's an overreach. It's just an overreach. Again, another example of government overreach.
Yeah. Something could just stroking the conditioned population. May I say that? Did that sound bad? I mean,
that's accurate.
It's accurate.
Okay. Okay.
You know, anyway, my fear is status quo. Josh Harder's going to win, just like every other incumbent's won. You know, these guys are in office for like 5 terms until somebody finally unseats them. It's just the way things go in this district, and our constituency here doesn't understand that. All the candidates are even the incumbent is like, so out of touch with what their actual responsibilities are or will be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point.
Is Ted gonna be better than Mr. Elliott or Mrs. Livengood? I don't know, because we have no experience with that person. But is any of the three of them gonna be better than Harder? Well, I would hope so.
I believe so.
They better be.
I believe they would be.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. What do we have in the state of California that applies to this district? A top 2 primary. So we got three from one party running against one from another party.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen?
What do you mean? Because we have the top two.
So it's going to be Ted and Josh just off of name recognition.
Exactly.
And these other two are wasting their time. They're splitting the vote anyways.
You always wonder why. I always wonder why people do that. When they want to just do the right thing well, that sounds a little socialist there for me. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Let me catch myself there.
Listen though. When it was only Ted, Josh, and Charles Dossett, okay, there was an opportunity. If those men had listened to me in the beginning and started upon the path that I'm talking, because I'm not the only one that thinks this way. I'm just the only one in the district that will vocalize it, that doesn't care what people say about him, that will argue with any of these jamokes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think you should call them jamokes.
They're jamokes.
Sure. Are they? What's that? What is it?
I don't know. Jabroni, jamoke.
What is a jamoke? Oh, it's a coffee drink, right?
I don't know what it is. That's a Jamocha almond fudge at Baskin Robbins.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
Jamoke, just someone who don't know what they're talking about. You know, just it's a nice way that I call somebody an idiot. You know, you're Jamoke. Like a joke.
Okay.
So,
yeah, well, you raise really good points, John.
There is a way. There is a technically you could primary Josh Harder out of a job.
Be nice.
Could that be possible?
Yes, but these guys ain't doing the right thing.
Yeah, that could be possible. That would be. Oh my God, that would be such a dream. A dream. Okay, well, should we wrap this?
Probably wrap this up.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should wrap it up. I think it's been an interesting conversation with John tonight. We should might be a good one.
Just call it an interesting conversation with John tonight.
Should call all of them an interesting conversation with John.
Yeah.
John, you need to rename your podcast that. An interesting talk with John.
Yeah, but I actually got to do some.
That's true.
Okay.
True. You do.
Okay.
You know, I'm so busy, even just like I got so many things to do for the initiative. I don't have time to do that. And I'm like,
I know.
We'll link the initiative. Initiative 190012. Read it.
Please read it.
Please. We need the support.
We do. And if you didn't listen to last week's podcast on...
So all of the things that we've been talking about, Initiative 190012 allows a lot of these things to come to fruition in the state because we have more representation.
Exactly. Last week's episode on that initiative was very informative.
Yeah, so listen to that. I'll make sure that gets in the show notes.
Okay.
Make a note of that.
All right. Should we say goodnight?
I'll be back.
You'll be back. Oh, don't bring him up, please.
Not the actor, just, that's like a big thing.
Oh, the character. The character. I'll go with the character.
What was it? Hasta la vista, baby.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode of Forgotten Liberty Radio. I want to make sure you can get in touch with us. Feedback at ForgottenLibertyRadio.com or via our website, ForgottenLibertyRadio.com. Leave us a voicemail if you wish, 209-214-8099. That's 214-8099. Don't forget to subscribe to us in iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review. We would really appreciate it, and it actually does help our ratings. You can find us on all of your typical social media, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify. Find our episodes on YouTube, Google Play, and even some alternative media such as BitChute. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Forgotten Liberty Radio, and we'll catch you next time. Forgotten Liberty Radio is a production of Forgotten Liberty Media. The views expressed by the host or guests in any episodes may not necessarily reflect the views of Forgotten Liberty Media as a company.